Penn Municipal Authority to order at 7:04. Pledge allegiance and moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. There was an executive session held prior to the meeting, and there was no decisions made on that. As you notice, our chairman is among the missing tonight, so it's up to me, and I'd like to move it along. I hate long meetings. So here we go. Minutes from the 2nd and the 14th of April for approval.
Move to accept the April 2nd, April 14th minutes as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the 14th and the 2nd. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sold. Okay, Mike, you got the floor.
I'll try to keep it short. It's not very sweet. As I imagine everybody remembers, I was before you here a couple of months ago. And the situation, I have been in communication with Sam on and off throughout my travels. And I brought copies of some documents here for the board if you want them as I cover these, just for verification. Back when I was here last, I had what this document is. We have an approval here from Members First Bank to fund this project. Okay, and I have copies of that for the board. One of the things we were waiting on, and it was partially weather related, was an environmental study that was part of the requirements for the funding for refinancing this loan, which came in ironically with a problem that they said it's a high risk environmental thing because it has gas tanks in the ground. At which point I said, no, it doesn't have gas tanks in the ground. We've already been through this when we financed it the last time and had this same report done. So they said, well, the report we have shows that there's underground storage tanks. I don't know if any of you remember seeing them taken out, but I mean, in any case, so I called the DEP knowing that the DEP is involved when these things get removed, and there must be a report. Ironically enough, there is, but not that they keep in their repository. So I called Jim Dersham Jr., who's been very helpful with me when we needed to know where a line was or anything. Jim, you wouldn't happen to have? I sure would if you had called me before my garage burnt down.
No, geez.
However, I do know who did it, which was Perry Petroleum. So I called Perry Petroleum. I have that confirmation in an email here from the bank. They were able to go back in their records and produce these documents. So I thought, okay, we're at the final delay. Now they've got the documents. The environmental company that was hired by Members First wouldn't accept them, said they're too old.
What?
Now they've decided that they want a full phase 2 study,
Oh, Jesus.
which throws a major financial wrench into this whole process. At this moment, I've contacted 2 environmental engineering firms, one out of State College, one locally. I've gotten bids on a phase 2 study. I imagine some of you might be familiar with that. I wasn't familiar with it at all. I'm wishing I was still not familiar with it. We're in negotiations with the bank right now. The bank tends to agree with us that this is just ridiculous, considering that 5 years and 4 months ago, we had an environmental study, it's called an ESR report. And they're thinking that we can solve this problem with a phase 1 study as opposed to a phase 2, which is dramatically less expensive. That being said, and I don't remember exactly how much of this I communicated with Sam. Sam may or may not have informed me. I've been back and forth to Baltimore and Bethesda hospitals with my son, and it's just not been an easy time. I did, however, throughout this, as I have been doing, made contact with Sean Arbaugh at the DEP, told him what was going on. He provided me with a communication that, once again, I have copies of this for the board, but I think the important part says, and it recovers what we talked about, the unforeseen financing plan, and somewhere in here I find the wording. It says the department does not anticipate taking any enforcement actions against you, meaning me, or the township as long as a good faith effort continues to be put forth to complete this construction and the project. My problem right now is, now I've talked to engineers. I have to give you all money to look at the engineer stuff, but I can't pay the engineer, and I can't pay you, and I can't pay to get the permit because Members First won't give me the money yet, which was supposed to happen March 17th. It got delayed by weather a little bit. We were supposed to close April 4th. When I was here last, I thought I was going to start writing checks. That has changed. And just for edification, I mean, I have copies of all this to show, you know, I mean, I'm not making it up. I don't even know exactly what to tell the board right now about how to move forward, with the exception of I'll communicate with the board immediately upon what the resolution to this is. The only possible short term, and I can't commit to this right now, but myself and the partners are working on it, is if it was possible, and I don't know what the ordinance says. It's my understanding that to get the permit, the hookup fees have to be paid at that time. That's a substantial portion of this financing. It's in excess of 50% of the project as it stands right now. If that could possibly be delayed, but we could move forward with the rest, then maybe we can take steps forward faster. Otherwise, I'm kind of stuck here until I figure out how to get this financing finalized. So, you know, without trying to blow any smoke up anybody's backside, you know what I mean? That's where we stand right now, and I'm kind of stuck. I want this thing over yesterday if I could. I truly don't have time for this in my life right now. I've got quotes on the job from excavators and pump pricing and all this other stuff, but I can't do anything until I get the money. And like I said, that's the commitment letter from Members First. But until we get the environmental things straight, what they're telling me, and I don't know anything about finance, this is a government requirement now. You can't lend money on these projects without the environmentals being in place. Which, once again, we did just over 5 years ago. We went through this whole process, and no problem. The report came back clean. Now this company says it's not. Now they're not saying that there's any contamination. I have the report where DEP signed off when those tanks were removed. There wasn't even any remediation required. But for whatever reason, that company and the way this happens apparently is it's appraisals and environmental reports. A computer goes, here's a choice of 10 people. You can use any one of these 10. To avoid, apparently, my brother-in-law is an appraiser and I'll have him do it, that kind of stuff. This company that did this, just for whatever it's worth, this whole process took about 8 minutes on my phone. They've never been to the site. They've pulled paperwork from wherever they get it from. But unfortunately now it's document a record at the bank. So I got to overcome this somehow. I got an attorney involved, and that's where we are. So short of some suggestions from the board, I don't know exactly how to move forward other than to report back the progress on this.
Will you tell me again who you said that the old environmental report was too old? It wasn't Members First. I know that because you said they could do phase 1, but I didn't.
I don't actually
Somebody
know.
said it was too old.
I don't exactly know the name of the company that Members First.
Okay, whoever Members
contract,
First was
right.
using. Okay.
It's an environmental, I'm sure I could find it
No,
out.
it's okay.
I don't think
It
it's a
doesn't matter.
secret. But
I understand. It was somebody that contracted out by Members First.
it only cost us $1,800 to get that news. So I'm open to any type of suggestion to try to help this thing along, but as far as our corporation's concerned, now we are working on trying to source money from another avenue, but as it stands right now, I mean, we thought we had it done. So now, we're on a treadmill trying to figure out what the next step could be. And the only reason I bring up the hookup fees is because here we are at the 12th hour trying to figure this out. Just state the obvious. It's a whole lot easier to get $5 than $10. And I don't mean to waive them. I just mean, can we move forward and get it permitted or something somehow without that money having to be up front?
Suggestion? Dennis, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not sure I understand what you have in mind.
Well, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is quite a substantial book to read through, for me anyway, is that at the time you apply for the permit,
Connection permit.
the connection
Right.
permit, I have to pay the connection fees.
That would, yes.
Okay, well, in this particular instance, we're talking about tens of thousands of
Right.
dollars.
Okay.
And we go back to the reason I went to Members First to borrow $100,000
Okay.
was to pay the fees, buy the pump, dig the ditch and all that.
So you're suggesting that you receive a permit, a connection permit, without paying the fee now, and what would that enable you to do then?
Well, if that was an acceptable idea,
Right.
it would enable me to go back to the partners and say, listen, can we put together the $2,500 to pay the township for the review and the work? Can we pay the engineer? Can we put it together enough money for the excavator and the mechanical contractor to do this portion of the project while we're working on getting this money situation straightened out? I don't have that as a fixed answer right this minute, because it's a moot point unless the authority had some ability to flex on that. If you don't, then there's no point in me trying to do the rest.
What else would be involved, other than the fees, the permit fees, what else is involved that you would need to pay for?
Well, I have to pay engineering fees.
Right.
I have to pay at least a portion of, but up front, I have to provide $2,500 to the township
Right.
for your engineer to review the engineer's stuff. And once again, correct me if I've got any of this wrong. And of course, I have to source choose the contractor, all three of which are chomping at the bit to, when are you ready, and
what
buy
would-
the pipe and the pump, and
Okay.
we're really.
So you would essentially, you may be able to do the entire project without, except for paying the permit fees. You may be.
We may be able to. Once again, some of this is pretty fresh. I don't mean fresh yesterday, but fresh in the last few weeks, we kept thinking tomorrow's gonna be the solution to this problem. Tomorrow's gonna be the solution. As you may or may not be aware, calling up an environmental engineer and having them act upon anything is not a terribly rapid process. I'm also arguing through the bank because I'm not allowed to speak to the engineering company to make sure that I'm not trying to, influence them one way or another. I'm saying, well, why do I need a phase 2 environmental study on 10 acres of ground when we're only talking about the gas station was here? Why do I have to spend all this money for drilling and stuff where there was never anything but a single family home? Can we consolidate this thing? Because a phase 2 study on the whole property is $8,000 to $12,000. And we're getting to the point now, I think, my God, it's going to cost us $25,000 in fees to borrow $100,000. It's becoming financially, it's just not good numbers. And it gets to a point of diminishing returns where, like, why bother? Maybe I ought to bulldoze the place and wait for somebody to want to build something. I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you don't have the money, you don't have the money.
Mr. Chairman, we have in the past, I think with the Perdix projects and stuff, there were people down there who did not have finances available to pay up front to get their building permit. We had, and I was a big, I was big in getting this changed. Okay, now I'm going to backwater a little bit. We had had a contract, payment agreement contracts, but it was stretched out over I think it was a 20-year period, way too long as far as I'm concerned.
I'll take 20 years. Well, I mean, you say.
But I would not be opposed to granting a similar payment contract agreement with Mr. Ward to get that squared away. If he thinks that would help him in his financials straight. I don't know. We'd have to figure out, what the time frame would be.
In other words, you're talking about possibly the authority financing the
Right.
tapping fee.
And we have the same type of
Right.
agreement for anybody who is delinquent on their payments. We have that same agreement. That's in place right now, but it doesn't stretch for a 20-year period. So.
And you're talking just to $2,500, right?
Pardon me?
We're talking to $2,500?
No, I'm talking the connection fees.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Then that would be if he has 10 units down there,
Okay.
so that's $36,000.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would suggest, if the board would be inclined that way, you would want to condition that on Mr. Ward determining that in fact he can get the money
absolutely,
to go ahead and do all the rest of it. So that would be the only thing that would be, in other words, the project would go forward. There'd be no delays, except for you having to wait for some of your money, and we'd file a lien like we have on all the other properties.
Well, and I'm sure that would be acceptable to the corporation. I mean, I don't think the authority or the township or whichever stands in a bad stead. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of equity in this property. It's worth well in excess of $1 million. So it's not like we would ever be saying, heck with that 36,000. I mean, we stand to lose too much. That being said, this all gets straightened out. That also is going to be unnecessary. My only question is, if that's possible, then I can go work on trying to nail down what's the cost of the construction, the hardware, the pump, those things, which I have bids on,
Right.
which are all very similar, so I'm sure they're pretty accurate, and the monies that the township needs for reviewing and pay the engineer, and I guess I don't have to tell the authority, you guys have been through this, but I mean, it's this, and 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 pretty soon, it's a substantial amount of money. And the cost of the project's gonna exceed the tapping fees, but you put it all together, that's why I went to get $100,000. And in all honesty, I was hoping it'd be enough. It appears like it will be, but you know how these things tend to, way my luck's been going, there's a frickin' granite ledge right in the middle of where I'm gonna have to put that pipe.
Well, are you looking for sort of an informal indication from?
I think that's all that would be appropriate at this point, because I can't guarantee.
Right, I understood.
I just know that sourcing $40,000 is gonna be a whole lot less complicated than sourcing $100,000.
What timeframe are we talking about, a year?
That's something we'd have to determine. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with the length of time that we issued the first time.
You're not, okay, what, a year, 2 years, what?
2 to 5 anyway.
As soon as, Mike, as soon as, if I heard everything right, as soon as that money, as soon as the members first cost up the money, we get paid.
Yes. Now, once again, I don't know at this particular moment if this is gonna move forward. It doesn't make it's not financially responsible for us to say, because we had to pay $4,000 for an appraisal. We had to pay $1,800 for this environmental report that caused all this trouble. We have closing costs and legal fees and all the rest of that stuff. And if I have to add another $12,000 on the top of all this, why would I spend $20,000 to $25,000 to borrow $100,000? Now I'm paying 20% interest up front, plus the interest I have to pay on the loan, and it becomes a situation where I have to question: is this? The majority of the value of this piece of property, by everybody's account, is the ground. It's not the garage. It's not the old houses. They're just there to create rental income while, somebody decides they want to do whatever, which is why we purchased the place to begin with, because there was a plan there that fell through with the banking crash. So, it begs the question at some point, how far do we want to go in this thing when we're not going to recoup the money? This is not money that has a return on investment. This is just a straight expense.
I'd like to make that motion, but I don't know how to word it.
Well, I think really all you need to do rather than a motion right now would be just to if it's the consensus of the board, you'll certainly work with him on, finding a way to keep this project moving along, and that the board would consider financing the tapping fee or.
Yeah, and if
you
So what you're saying, we can issue the building permit
Well, I don't think you're quite,
issue.
I don't think we're quite ready for that, because he's gonna need to make sure that the other part of this is workable with his partners. So I think Mr. Ward's still gonna have to get back to you and say, we can make this project happen
Right.
if you'll finance the tapping fee. And in the meantime, you can kick around what time period you're
Okay.
thinking and things like that. Would that work for you?
Yes, absolutely. And of course,
I think it's just a matter of, in principle, does the board find something like this to be workable?
I can agree to that.
is it, I guess it goes without saying, this is not gonna happen by May 19th. I don't know if we have to get formal about all that, but that being said, now I have been calling Sam. I know you guys have to go through your rules and your meetings and things, but
What's May 19? Is that
May 19th is when this was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
for the,
Of Mike's, for the
okay,
installation.
We're gonna have
for
to,
the project?
we're gonna have to grant him an extension.
Yeah, you'd have to grant the extension. Well, how does Mr. Arbon knows all this?
Yes, and I have that in a document, like I said, I have, and I can leave these, there's copies enough to go around if you want me to give them to you.
Just give him a.
Yeah, let's have it.
Let me make sure I didn't get any of my ancillary paperwork there.
Okay.
Do we, would Arbon need to be contacted before you feel comfortable granting an extension?
Well, unless we have a letter from him.
He states in the letter that he would be happy to meet with the township, myself, or both of us, if necessary.
When's your JOAC meeting?
Yes, this
Next-
coming Monday, the 12th.
There's a bunch of copies there, so.
Are you gonna have one?
Yeah, I guess we are. We do every month.
Not necessarily.
Here.
There's no business.
Oh, well, it's,
No, but we can have our follow-up.
we can
If
do
they don't
that.
have a JOAC meeting, we
We
can
can.
have our
We can.
follow-up meeting with them,
Yeah.
yes, because it is advertised.
I mean, if you feel comfortable granting an extension tonight, I think you could do that. I would probably suggest that you do them, you know, for maybe a month at a time until you see how things are progressing, so that you don't get too far
Yeah,
out there.
I don't
Particularly since you have another player in this, which is DEP. If you prefer to talk to Arbaugh first, you could take action on this next week.
He pretty much explains it in the letter, so,
So you all right with it?
yeah.
If we were to grant a 30-day extension on that, how would that work as far as you working with the bank with this? Do you think you'd have any results in a month from them?
I certainly hope to. That being said, I wouldn't even know what extension to ask of the board at this moment. Now, I've spoken to the bank as early as today, and the bank, ironically, isn't really any happier about this than my corporation is, but, and once again, I don't know the banking, but from what I understand, back when the banks all went through their thing, which was right after we bought this property, or we wouldn't be sitting here, I can assure you, they have to do this and this and this and this. They're obligated, they've already extended their commitment, is just open-ended now. And they've frozen the rate and all those things, and they want to get past this, but there's no point in moving any further ahead until the environmental thing's studied. Now, the latest thing was, if the bank got a phase 1 study presented to them, which is about a $2,500 study, that was contradictory to this ESR report that this other company did, then that would probably be acceptable. Is that phase 1 study gonna be, see, I don't have the answer.
But a month will give you a chance to see if, you know, if
I
members
certainly
first,
think we'll
things
be
can
able to see
settle out
further,
there.
yeah.
Plus, it gives you an opportunity to talk to your other folks about
Right.
moving forward.
Now, I do have my one partner in Maryland he's speaking to another lending institution tomorrow. I've spoke to Integrity Bank, just the beginnings of it, just because I feel like I need to, but this process took 7 months. And commercial money's not an easy thing to get nowadays.
Well, I mean, if in fact these are regulatory requirements, the answer should be the same no matter who the bank is.
Well, the answer may be the same, but the request may be different.
Right.
Instead of us borrowing money against that piece of property, maybe we may have to leverage something else to bring the money in, something that's more expedient. Once again, there's a copy floating around. I mean, I had the commitment when I said, okay, now the board's gonna do, we're gonna get, you know, and we're gonna move on with this, but I didn't expect that curveball.
So Cece, you think you want, what are you thinking, like, delay it till June 19th then, a month after this? Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I was thinking, and that would give him an opportunity to find out a little bit better, hopefully, of where the bank stands with that, and that would also give the board a chance to kind of think this through, how we would want to set this up, if indeed the board would want to do that. I think that gives both sides a little bit of time to.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can assure you, I don't expect to have an answer. I heard you talking about some meeting Monday, and I'm thinking, I'm not gonna know anything by Monday.
No.
So you wanna make a motion?
I will make that motion, that we grant a 30-day extension, make that, the extension until June 19th.
Okay.
Does anybody know when the June meeting is yet?
The 4th,
Okay,
First
so
Wednesday.
it's before, okay.
and then the JOAC meeting will be the following Monday, the 9th. So he could even get back to us by that meeting, by the 9th. I mean, just give us an idea of where you're at, any kind of feelers that you
But your
have.
general meeting is the 4th, the
Fourth.
first one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I just get on the docket for the meeting here? Is that, I have a hard time calling the office because I'm generally in court all day long.
You're on.
Okay, thank you.
So that's my motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And I will continue to communicate with Sam as I find anything out. And hopefully the answers will come quicker than later.
Thank you, Ed.
Is
Good
that
luck.
all you all need of me for tonight?
That's it.
Okay, I have miles to go.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Visitors too.
Mr. Peters?
I'm good, thank you.
And Bob? No one.
No one. Okay, let's jump to Randy.
All right. Everybody has our engineer's report for this meeting? Okay. First item for discussion is low-pressure sewer extension project. The contractor has contacted us in regards to the completion of the punch list items. He contacted us today. They were out there Monday, supposedly completed that work. On the way up today, I took a look at that. We will.
I saw both of them, looks all right.
It looks fine? Okay, so we don't need to take a further look at that? Okay. He also asked that prior to that he could submit his payment application prior to tonight's meeting, and that was for the remaining punch list items, which was $1,000. And if he didn't complete it by today's meeting, he was hoping to get approval, for the payment application based upon completion of that work, so that he wouldn't have to wait till the June meeting to get paid. So, if you're okay with the work that was completed, Mr. Ox, I would think that we would want to take action and just make payment to.
I have already
To
written the
Charlie.
check because I thought maybe you would have the payment request paperwork here tonight.
He did not.
Okay, the check has been included in with this month's bills.
Yeah.
You can approve it and give it to Sam, and he can hold it until at such time
I'll
we
submit.
get,
Yeah.
until we get the things, and then we can mail it in.
I wasn't going to release that until we had a chance to inspect it, but we just got the call like about 3:30 today. So, okay, so all right.
We're gonna approve that when we approve the other bills.
Right.
Okay, all right. So, next item on the topic for discussion was Sunshine Hills Water Treatment Storage Project. Again, we submitted the public water supply application with the modules to DEP on March 18th. Received a letter dated March 26th that the application was administratively complete, and they would accept it for technical review. To this point in time, we haven't received any further correspondence. We should be getting at the point in time where we should be getting some type of response back to them. It's usually like a 6 to 8 week period. We're about coming up on 7 weeks right now. That's pretty typical for these type of projects. Mike Hess is the engineer at DEP who's reviewing the application and the modules. We participated in the teleconference on April 23rd with the authority, CEDACOG, and the DCED people in regards to the CDBG funding for the project. I talked to Susan prior to the meeting, and I guess they're requesting that we do the income
Survey.
survey, yes.
The information is on my desk down there, all the forms and stuff that we have to do are on my desk. All we have to do is figure out when we're gonna get around to do it.
Right. Was there any deadline given to when they wanted that completed?
As soon as we could get it done.
Okay.
And I got some real heartburn with that whole situation. They were to announce that, and this is just for the record, we know that they were to announce that the 1st of March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, drug on and drug on and drug on, and then there was the conference, and that person, whoever it was, she knew nothing. I mean, and now we get, all of a sudden, now we gotta do the whole survey again, and I'm hoping it goes well, and I think the way
It's being presented to the customers. I hope they accept it.
I think if you remember correctly, whenever we first started dealing with Cedar Call, I had mentioned the fact about the income surveys that we were using were from the old census. And I think I asked him then if we needed to do another one, and I think she said no. She could, you work off do it. Now, I guess because we're working with a different, we're trying to get the money out of a different pocket, so to speak. They have different rules, so that's one of the reasons why we need it. If in fact we're gonna submit the CDBG form again this year, I think we're still gonna need that new income survey anyway. So I think it would be to our benefit to go out and do it. I agree with what you're saying. I don't like doing it any more than anybody else does. But if we're gonna go out and beg all these other agencies for money, then we're gonna have to show them we need it. So I think we should do what we can to get it done.
And while we're on that subject, it's real, I don't want to get off of Randy's report, but are the customers going to send this back to CBDD or
No.
that?
No,
Are they
that's
gonna
that.
fill it out and give it back to us?
And my understanding with that was just a notice to you saying, hey, we're going to have a representative come knock on your door. Please be kind in helping fill out the information. It wasn't for them to send anything back. I didn't get one, so I don't know what it says. But that's what it was. That's what the intent was for.
It doesn't say.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to wait until they fill this out, or we give them a week to get it back to us?
We're going to go knock on the door. I'm going to go out to your door and I'm going to say, Jim, I have an income survey here. Would you be interested in helping the municipal authority and get the money for a grant? Now, your choice could say, yes, I can help you out, or no, I can't. And if it's no, I can't, then there's a block on that thing. It says check that says refuse, and then I move on. I'll move down to Elmer, and I do the same thing with Elmer.
But we wait till they fill it out?
You and I are going to, whoever's going to be there is going to fill it out. We're not going to let them do it because we've run into that before where we've mailed them out and had them people fill them out and they never returned them to us. So we have to go out and do them ourselves. Then we have them.
Okay. I
That's,
never filled one out, that's,
No.
even with the old one.
Right.
That I can remember. I might have, but I don't remember. Okay.
And just for your information, I did talk to Amy Davis prior to this and was asking her if a decision has been made, and they said no, and the reason they're delaying the decision was they got additional applications that they were going to accept and review for the funding. So I think I passed that information on.
you did.
Okay.
She did, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that. If you have picking a date, if you have an April
Right.
15th deadline, and everybody's in, and anybody that comes in after April 15th,
Right.
You know?
I agree. If they missed the deadline, they shouldn't be considered.
but that's not for me to do.
Right.
You know.
That's right. So.
Sorry, Randy, go ahead.
Yep, okay, and then Dennis and I spoke previously. We were looking for some documentation on a water line easement on the Eichelberger property. And to, I guess due to Dennis's efforts, he couldn't find anything that existed. Right now on the plans, we're showing the water line going up on the front of the property in the access easement. And is there any reason not to, you have any reason for us not to do that? Okay, so that's how we had submitted the plan and to DEP, and that's what we'll continue to
The
follow.
only reason I would say we couldn't do that is if that easement does not grant us accessibility to that.
If which easement?
The new easement, or their road access goes up over there. If he wants to use that for the utilities easement, I don't know whether that gives us permission to use that or not.
Well, do we have the ability to require that?
I don't know. That's
Well,
township. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And that is a private drive.
Oh, it's gonna be a private drive, all right. Well, I guess we should get a request in that the town should make sure that, you know, that it would include, authority facilities. I think it would be fairly typical if it would. That somebody could communicate to the township, you know, make sure that happens. Is the paperwork not completed yet with the township? I mean,
It's an established, it's not a new development, it's an established.
Oh, this has already been there for a
Yes,
while.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then there should be some kind of documentation on the township side that we can look at. Would it show on a subdivision plan, do you think?
I think that's where we picked it up from, was some type of deed information. And that's, we were shown an easement through there for access purposes. Because there's multiple properties are being served.
There's 3 or 4 up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, could you get me whatever?
I'll find out what we have.
Whatever you have,
Yeah.
let me take a look at it. I think I'd be able to tell you.
Okay. Okay. And then I got Sam's email in regard, it was April 15th, in regards to some of the items that we had talked about, the booster pumps, and you said about going with 4 and omitting the high flow pump, and then also making the 8-inch piping underground, and also relocating the access road into the tank in the treatment facility. So we'll adjust those because I'm going to have to go back to DEP when we get their response and review their responses and provide a comment letter back to them, response letter back to them, and we'll address these issues as well. Okay. Stone Mill Estates, I was told that on April 16th, the developer replenished their escrow account, but to date, we haven't been requested to review any additional plans. So we have not performed any review services at this time.
Planning Commission hasn't seen anything since the approval
Okay.
of the preliminary plan. Conditional approval of the preliminary plan.
Okay. And then it brings us to the Morrison Sewer Extension Project. Again, Mr. Morrison replenished his escrow account on March 24th. We were out there on the 24th to do an inspection. At the request of the solicitor, I attended a hearing for Mr. Morrison at the District Magistrate Daniel McGuire's office on April 16th. And as of April 29th, Mr. Mellum notified us that the manholes have been ordered and will be on site within the next couple weeks. Mr. Morrison will be installing the manholes near his building and providing, you know, the extensions, the laterals, and so forth up near that building as well. Presently, he was on site at the Kincora Pythian home doing the final grading and seeding. I stopped by today because I got another email from Mr. Mellum to say that they were on site today, and a portion of that final grading and seeding is starting to come up. And I looked at the site just driving by, and it looks like it's in fairly good shape without actually getting out of the car, but I thought it looked pretty good.
Dean Cora does look good.
Yeah, he did a nice job from what I could see. I didn't have a lot of time to spend on it. He will then need to continue to install the project, test his lines, and also he'll have to vacuum test the manholes, which has not been done yet, even on the Kincora property. Mr. Mellum also asked me if as-built drawings are required for the project. I sent back an email affirming that as-built record drawings are required for the project at the completion. And from what I understand, they were on site in the past couple days surveying the installation to probably prepare those drawings for submission to us for our review.
Randy, the manholes that he's talking about having ordered,
Mm-hmm.
and will be on site within a couple of weeks, are those the ones that we were discussing after the hearing?
Yes, those are the ones up on his site. He made adjustments, remember, he had a
Yes.
plan adjustment, we reviewed it, we sent out a letter reviewing that and saying we had some comments, he had then addressed those comments, resubmitted the plans. We then generated another letter back to Mr. Morrison saying that, you know, the modifications were okay with everything. So those manholes then had to be ordered. So that's what will be up there within the next, I guess, couple of weeks.
Would that be it in terms of materials that?
I would think so.
Would have to be ordered.
Right, well,
Okay.
yeah. He has
So-
pipe and manholes, but the pipe should be readily available.
Did he order his pumps yet? In the wet well?
I thought he did say that he ordered his pump. I thought Mr. Mellum at the hearing said he had ordered the pump.
Well, was there any change to the pump? I mean, is that something you probably should order?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think it should have been ordered.
Let me verify that, Randy.
Yeah, I'll call him or email Mr. Mellum. But I thought they did address that at the hearing.
Did you think it was ordered, or was
I believe that it was ordered.
Okay.
I don't think it's been installed.
Okay. But it might have been delivered to the site even.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Well,
so-
yeah.
No, in the history.
Is this a grinder pump or the pump station?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the enclosure with the pumps.
okay. Got ya.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like these manholes then that will be arriving within the next couple of weeks are coming maybe a little quicker than we
Probably.
anticipated.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a good thing.
Okay. And then the last thing on our report was the flow analysis report. I know at the last meeting, Mr. Chisholm and Mr. Ox said that they had some questions in regards to the flows that were going into the Concordia Pythian home or the treatment plant there. And I don't know if you had been able to review that and.
Just to bring you up to speed, there have been no changes to the best of my knowledge. The flow meters were recalibrated. The calibration was checked on the 5th Monday of this week.
The 5th Monday of this
No,
month.
the 5th. May 5th.
May 5th.
Oh.
The 5th, Monday
Okay,
this week.
okay.
Whatever.
Okay, all right.
TriStar
All
was
of
here.
them, all of them were. And to the best of my knowledge, there was no problems with the King Cora flow meter. I did not have the report. That'll come in very shortly, the written report. To the best of my knowledge, you did not say anything to me that it was off. I just thought I'd include that
Okay.
at this point.
So as far as the analysis report, are we to still hold off on making adjustments, or, because I think you still.
No, the
felt-
board voted at one of the meetings, I reported on the fact that Ed and I went through your flow meter reports that you
Yes.
gave, where the flow meter, they matched. There were no discrepancies. That was the flow.
Okay.
Your report was correct, your report stands, so there's a
Okay.
letter in the folder to Mr. Himmelberger.
Okay,
And I was expecting to see him here tonight to dispute it, but, okay?
Okay.
So the board gave approval of the flow analysis.
Part
okay,
of what the discrepancies were, Randy, was, and the rest of the board, there was a point when we were reading, Sam is still reading their water meter. We were comparing that with our flow meter.
right,
We were getting, in the beginning, about 300 more gallons a day. Is this right, Sam? Check me if I'm, approximately 300 more gallons a day on our flow meter than their water meter.
Correct.
And that lasted for 2 or 3 months, and then they developed a leak in their line from their water pump, their well house, to their building. And their flows went to 500,000 gallons some or more a month, where they were at 300,000.
Okay.
And Sam can verify at some number like that.
Right.
So no longer did we have a numbers to compare. So I have no reason to suspect our readings are off by a great deal. They may be off by some, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just been recalibrated and everything
Right.
else, but the authority voted, and I don't have any reason to believe that we're
Okay, and you approved the
inaccurate,
report.
than
Yeah.
more than 2 EDUs at the most.
Okay,
From the beginning of the year, that would have been 2 EDUs, 300 gallons a day, right? Would have been that we were higher, not 11, which is what the numbers state from the flow analysis report. I didn't want to muddy the water, but I wanted to clear up why we were not as confident with the numbers all the time as we could have been. If they didn't have the leak, then we'd know what they were pumping.
right, you'd have
what
something
we were
direct compare,
processing.
right, right. Okay. Okay. So that's pretty much what I have. Do you have any other questions?
Any questions for Randy?
If I don't hear anything from Mr. Hess probably this week, I'm gonna give him a call, but I think they get a little annoyed because, they got not only us, but they have multiple other people submitting applications and plans, but for example, I got 3 plans submissions in the DEP right now for other clients, so, they get multiple. So it's about the 6 to 8 week windows when you probably start to hear back. So if if I don't hear anything this week yet, I'll give them a call next week and say, hey, how are you making out? Do you have any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, operator's report.
No, that's it.
Okay, I brought a visual aid.
Go ahead, sorry.
And I'm highly suggesting that Sam carry this around
Thanks,
while he's doing his surveys
appreciate it. Oh, okay.
and show the public what their water system on Sunshine Hill's depending on.
Well, that's that valve. That's that valve that
Yeah.
was.
That's one of the pieces that fell off.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
I don't mind a bit.
Take that to CEDACOG in DCED.
They've seen it.
Have they?
They've seen it.
I brought it in a long time ago, and I just keep forgetting to bring it down to the meeting. I don't know where the circulations are. I just got back today that, or where you want this, if you want this. These are inspections by Pat Bowen of Cove and King Cora, done on the 1st of this month, which I think was last Thursday. Yes. They just came in my email today, so I printed them out, and that's why they weren't in the folder before. And you can review those, and then if you have any questions on them.
Is that the NPDES inspection?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Some of the things that have changed on that is they no longer will be collecting samples to go to their lab. Now, he collected samples and analyzed pH, chlorine, and dissolved oxygen at the time of the inspection, but he did not gather samples to take with him anymore. It's apparently a change in the department. So if after you review those you have any questions, please let me know. I only made the one copy. We did both plants the same day. And there were no problems noted. This is a water source protection plan that was completed in 2011 for Sunshine Hill. The plan's in there. You've probably seen the maps on the walls of the office over there that have our areas of influence, so on and so forth. This is all of the completed plan. I'd like to re-bring it to your attention with the additional information that I think if the authority may want to start considering on their punch list, regulating groundwater geothermal systems. The example I'd use is Susquehanna poked 200 holes in the ground down there. There's nothing to prevent that next door to Sunshine Hill Water Company in our current ordinances. You might want to think about asking the planning commission and or ask the supervisors, or I don't know what the exact steps would be, whether you do it yourselves, incorporate that, or whether you'd ask the township to incorporate it into some controls over geothermal systems that might influence our wells. That's not necessarily included in here, but if you'd like to re-review this, I can leave it with you. I can leave it down at the office, whatever you want to do. I just brought it along tonight as a reminder that we do have this, and that some updates to it might be necessary. Now, the well that was drilled near Sunshine Hill would fall under the criteria that was initiated in 1995, which requires 100 to 400 foot circumference around it protection, and that would be in place no matter who owned the well. The amount of that distance, whether it's 100 foot or 400 foot, is dependent on the activities in the area. But that would have to be in place on that well because of it falls in under the criteria that was in it, that was adopted in 95 by the department.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on the depth of the well and the casing and all that too.
That's right. But it's a minimum of 100 foot around it.
Yeah.
But that should be nothing we have to worry about, though.
No, I guess I just brought that up as a reminder for future times when maybe that issue would come up about what goes in that space and what can happen near that space.
We don't have an overall plan for that well yet, like we do.
Not that well, no. But it does fall under the newer rules where our wells do not. The two on Sunshine Hill that we presently have do not. And remember that, once again, that we had discussed and you had approved a letter to DEP telling them it was our intention to abandon well 1 because it was such a low producer and we either had to abandon it or start testing it and doing all the maintenance on it that's required of any well. Now, that's not final till 2016. But what the letter I wrote back to DEP says is our intention to abandon well 1 up there. And so keep that in mind that was the direction we took. And once again, we were not obligated 100%, but that was the direction we took. And in 2016, we will have to make a decision. And probably, I think what the direction we were also taking was that on building the new system, we would not connect well 1 to it. Is everybody still on board with that? Okay.
That's how we showed it on the plans.
Right.
And we mentioned that it would probably be abandoned in the future, but we don't want to do a well abandonment plan at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right.
Once again, we went around with TriStar on Monday. We did the Cove plant, the Cove pump station, King Cora, and the pump station at McGuire's parking lot, Lower Duncannon. And calibrated all those. Everything was pretty close. I don't him commenting on any changes to either one of them. Received a letter today, an email today from Chris Metzger from DEP with a potential violation on Sunshine Hill Water Company for which was just what I needed to find out I missed something else. For radiologicals. So I came back, I had the reports, they were done in a timely manner. Somehow the lab didn't send them to Chris Metzger. So I faxed those to her today. That should lay that to rest. I did ask her to let me know if it doesn't resolve the problem. But we did complete our testing in a proper time frame.
What was that for, radar, or what was the?
Combined uranium.
Combined uranium,
The last item I have was Sam and Lanker did quite a bit of work on the Cove wastewater treatment plant. We replaced both of the airlifts on the new plant, on the 2005 plant, with stainless steel airlifts, eliminating the rust or the degradation problem that we experienced with one of them. We just replaced both. We also at that time took the opportunity, while we had the help and the machine there, to do one side of the 92 plant. We pulled all the diffusers up and removed the debris from them. Pretty nasty. It's my intention to spend some of your money on some aluminum rakes that will help prevent this in the future. We'll buy 3-foot rakes or whatever they may be. They have to have aluminum handles or fiberglass handles because the bacteria will eat the wood. And the roll of the water will go over them and gather up all the stuff that was collected on our diffusers. That'll extend our time that we don't have to do this again. I anticipate that to be between $200 to $500 for those items. They'll fall well within supplies and tools and everything else. The DMRs are in the folder. If you have questions on those, please let me know. That concludes what I have to say.
Any questions for Ed? If not, well, thank you, Ed.
I'll leave this here. Do you want this here? Or?
Put it under the valve.
Okay. And if there's questions on this, let me know. It's something that sooner or later I think it really behoove us to.
Well, that's gonna be real. I've been involved with.
What, the wellhead protection plan?
Yes.
Well,
you might think you get into a real rat's nest with the whole thing.
It's not mandatory.
I know.
So we have some options.
But there are options, but when you start working with options about land use and what folks are doing with their land use, which could affect your well water supply, that's really, how about it? You get into some real dandies.
It's fortunate,
like
very fortunate.
Underground oil tanks. People still have underground oil tanks. They really shouldn't be there now. Yeah, that's only one. That's one example.
Yes. Very fortunately, Sunshine Hill is at the top of the hill, and there's not anything hardly can drain towards it, except possibly an oil tank or a truck spill at the top of the hill.
Yeah, well.
But that's one of those things where if you want to start incorporating this or not, it's up to you. I think you can actually, from what I understand, go as deep or as shallow as you want with it. I don't know. Elmer probably knows more about it than I do.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Sam, you're on.
Thanks. Nothing out of the ordinary. Ed already touched on the airlift equipment down at the new plant. The last two items on my report is I received a call from Mrs. Wilson at one schoolhouse, and she stated her grinder pump wasn't wasn't working quite right. That's a duplex system. We took it out and replaced the pump in it. And these are some of the pictures of the internal workings of that pump. Now, the guy that tears them apart and repairs them for us says that he thinks it was damaged through abuse, and I asked him what he thought could have gone through it. He says maybe marbles or glass or stones. Now, I don't know, but anyway, there's some pictures of them for you. And the second item on there is the townhouses, Jewish townhouses. I got a call from them stating that their system, their grinder pump wasn't working. The lights were flashing. And that, if you remember, that is one that we do not maintain. And I relayed that information to them and asked them to contact the plumber to get what they needed done. So they're still working. I was expecting one or two of them to come up here tonight to discuss this with us, because they weren't too happy whenever I told them it was not our responsibility to maintain that anymore. But we gathered information together and we sent it to their, what's it called, the building association president. Maybe that that set them all, set things straight with them or not. But other than that, I don't have anything.
We already sent them the same thing several years ago because we had copies in the file, so we just sent them those.
On a couple of things about that, I think they're under the assumption that the Brackville house and the house across the road, what do we call that, Stevers?
No,
Moyer.
Stever's house is the one down
Moyer.
from it.
Moyer?
Sarah Moria.
They don't pay into the electric bill for the grinder pump, and that was part of an agreement back in the day. But I'm not sure that agreement removes them from responsibilities for maintenance.
That agreement was not with the municipal authority. That was a part of Dan George, whenever he bought that property and he put the townhouse across the street, he established that agreement with those tenants.
Okay.
He also established the agreement with Mr. Brackville whenever he connected. So in my opinion, the municipal authority has nothing within that,
Okay.
within those those
I was
those
questioned
agreements.
about that, and I said I didn't know and couldn't answer it, but that's what I
Karen
do
and I.
know, but I don't know the answer to the rest of it.
Karen and I sent them the copy of the minutes from a few years ago where the board decided that it was the homeowner's authority's responsibility to contact those other two houses, and it wasn't our job to contact them and say they had to pay or
Right.
whatever. So
And along those lines too, one of the individuals that I spoke with was under the understanding that we would do the repairs and then bill them. But that puts us in a bind. Who do you bill? You know, there's 4 units. Is there 5 units? 4 units.
4 units
There's
in
4
town.
units down there. Who do you bill? And so at any rate, that's why as a municipal authority we agreed to say, okay, it's your responsibility. You guys, you have it.
I don't know whether you'd be interested in including in your telephone message for after hours. These people don't know who to call. So I don't know how you could word it exactly, saying that if you've been told that the responsibility is yours, you either use your own plumber, or I would offer, I think it's appropriate to allow them the information of Kim Lanker does our work for us on the ones that we maintain. I don't know how you can give that kind of information out without being seen too biased, but really to leave them hanging with nothing, with a phone message, and then they have to call Sam and then we have to say, well, I told them quite frankly, I said, you call whoever you want, it's your responsibility to call and pay the bill. I said, Kim Lanker is who the township uses for the grinder pumps that we're still responsible for.
Can we give them like 3 names? Is there other people that have worked on our system?
I did. I gave them 2.
Okay.
I gave them Kim Lanker and I gave them
Well, I think that's all right.
Earl Noss.
But that's not on the phone message now, so until they get to one of us, they don't know who to call. I don't know whether you want to do that or not. It's up to you.
That would be something noteworthy too when the next newsletter goes out, to be included.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I like that idea, because otherwise that message is gonna get really long. But, which is fine. They already call and don't pay attention to what it says anyway and give messages for Helen, so.
Big and bold, so big and bold in the newsletter.
Well, Helen just gave me a copy today of the water ordinance. It's been now recorded, the mandatory water connection ordinance. It's been recorded, so she gave us our copy, and I told Karen we'll make a tickler file for the next newsletter, which is coming up at the end of the summer.
Anything else, Sam?
No, my report's completed. Master meter reports, there's nothing out of the ordinary on there. However, I would like to report that the Duncannon Borough Manager informed me that meter stations 2 and 3, Clark and High Street and Ann Street meters, were calibrated today. Or were to be calibrated today, let's put it that way.
Okay. Let's move on. Supervisor's report. Is there anything on that? PTS? Nothing? Mr. Chateau?
Yeah, I have very little. The item under my report there, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. There was a discharge and a bankruptcy, but the sewer rentals are not discharged by bankruptcy, so I'll just make sure that gets clarified with these
Did she
property
give you the copy
Yes,
of the
she
thing?
did.
Okay.
So that they're aware of that. I have a bunch of proceedings I'm gonna be filing. I checked, and the deadline for the next sheriff's sale, the cutoff for filing for it is it's next Friday, the 16th, so I'll be getting a number of them in before that, so that we have them up for the next opportunity.
Could I interrupt you a second?
Sure.
Is there any other need for Randy to be here?
And not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
You get the
thanks,
trail.
guys. Yep.
I thought you were just sitting here waiting to talk with Ed, listening to his,
No, yeah,
and
I
then
was
you were just so excited.
Well, there was Sunshine Hills being talked about, so that was,
Thanks.
Care.
hey, thanks, we'll see you guys.
You're good.
Hey, thanks.
Sure. I think that's really about all I have. Yeah.
I want to give you a call one of these days about some of these bank-owned properties,
Okay.
just to make sure that that liens are being filed against them.
All right.
Okay, I think
know
Karen.
I did against beneficial, it seems to me, but
Okay.
we'll make sure.
I'll get a list ready to make sure.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing that they buy them in at the sale and they don't pay the bill either.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now, I did make a mistake. If you look at the delinquent accounts for number 109, these folks that are in bankruptcy, I have a little tickler file, and after the bills are printed, and I have this stack of paper so people don't get bills. And somehow I sent number 109 his bill, and he wasn't happy. Nobody's lived there since, well, he wasn't happy just because how can he be paying when nobody's lived there since 2011 or something? And my comment to Karen was, if he calls back, say he never told us he wasn't living there, you know? But that is a bankruptcy one, and that one
Right.
just slipped through my fingers. I do, for these folks, I keep adding the charge every month. You had just said don't send them the bill.
Well, we don't excuse people just because the house is vacant, right? I mean, it has to be a
No,
death or
but
your
he is
own-
a bankruptcy
right.
case.
Yeah, right, he's got protection there, so.
So usually I think you had said keep charging
Yep.
them, just don't send them the bill, but I did let that one slip by.
All right. You won't go to jail.
Okay, good.
Okay, 1142, there's a note behind it that says there was no April payment on that.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's on my list. I'll make absolutely sure, but I'm 99% sure.
Where is 314 at? Where, exactly, what area is that? Is that up in Petersburg Commons or?
Yes.
It is, okay.
That's one of the green ones.
Oh, on the way back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Dennis, what's the status on 1152? Is that one that you're going to file?
No, I have not, I don't have that on my list to proceed. I mean, we could, that burned down.
Yeah.
Was the rest of it torn down?
Not
No,
yet.
no.
And
I
that's
got a
why I
call.
bring that,
I got a call, excuse me, I'm sorry. I got a call from the township chairman this morning, and he wanted to know what we needed done down there with regards to the sewer connection. How we, do we need it capped off? How, and he's in the process of writing the
bid proposal for demolition.
bid proposal for demolition for that house.
Oh, do we have a grinder down there?
Yeah, but the pump's not in it anymore. We pulled that last
Okay.
week. But the only thing I can think of that we needed to be done is just the cap coming from the line coming from the house just needs to be capped off. There's no control panel there because it burned with the house.
Okay.
And we did pull the pump last week, so there's nothing in there that belongs to us except for the grinder, the wet well itself.
I mean, we could proceed at some point, and I guess we'd end up acquiring a lot, is what it would boil down to.
No, and I,
So
I asked
the
them-
township's gonna do a demolition?
township is doing-
And then they'll
is-
lien the
is
cost
right.
of that
Right.
probably.
Probably,
Right.
Jeez.
What did
So
you tell them
nobody's
has to
gonna
be done?
get
Capped?
paid. You
It
can-
has to be capped.
It needs to be
The
capped.
line from the
Yeah,
house
they
to
were
the
just-
grinder pump should be
last
capped.
week,
Okay.
that was the discussion that they decided to.
Oh, at the house
put together
end,
bid
yeah.
proposals for an outside company, because that was the other question, did they want a third-party contractor to do it, or the township to demo it themselves, and it was decided to have third-party. And then the cost be transferred to the property owner, what happens with non-payment, and do they have any other outstanding bills? Because I was questioned about that in regards to this. So, I thought if you were planning something, I would suggest holding off just until that portion of it is done. That's just my thought.
There's nothing real valuable about the
There's
location.
nothing,
Is it a
That's
large
what-
lot? or-
I'm wondering how you're gonna put another house in there.
Oh, it's small.
Yeah, it's small, I'm sure it's a non-conforming lot.
It would almost have to be now, yeah.
Well, probably the best thing would be that somebody that owns an adjoining property would acquire it and, as an add-on to theirs. But
Did I see the adjoining lot is up for sale, the adjoining property, the up for sale sign went up there?
Browns. I didn't see it.
And he was here last week.
Well, yeah, it's not on my list because I
Okay,
figured there's.
good, I would recommend holding off.
Once the building is off, it'll become a little more desirable, but there'll be another lane too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we'll never get. Okay, anything else for Dennis? No. Okay, treasurer's report.
Okay, there's the list of the bills. The list does include the $1,000 to Mr. DeTraglia, just in case that paperwork was here. Now, if you approve it, like I said, I'll just give the check to Sam. After it's signed, I'll make a copy of it, give it to him, and then when that paperwork comes in from Randy, we can mail it out.
I'll make a motion, the orders be drawn, the bills be paid.
Judy,
Second.
did you see them where
Any
they
further
at?
discussion?
No.
Other than
Yeah.
favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? So be it.
That's what it's just you carrying
Uh,
around.
Mr.
I can
Morrison,
take a picture of it, see where it is.
his escrow is down to $251, so you'll see in the correspondence folder that I sent him today a letter asking for money to bring it back up. Are you leaving?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just a second. This is a personal note now. This lunch tomorrow, but it'll have to be early because I should be done. I need to be done by about 12:30.
Call me.
Okay.
Ed, I have a question before you go.
Okay.
Pardon me.
No problem.
Two, I'm not available.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. No, you can go ahead and talk to him so he can leave. That's fine.
And I just had a question. You said a while ago about the violation from DEP that the lab didn't get the information to Chris Metzger. Is there any kind of fine involved with that on our side? Just, okay, all right.
Yeah, we did
No,
it.
she said a letter of potential violation because she did not have the report from last year on that. And asked me to either check to see if the testing was done. If not, it would have been a tier 3, sort of like the asbestos, which we'll just mention in our consumer confidence report, and do the testing, but none of that's necessary because it was done. Somehow she just didn't get the report from the lab.
I just wanted to make sure there was no kind of financial penalty against us.
No, it has to be, before something like that has to happen, you have to intentionally not do the testing, not make up the testing when you're informed of it. You have to be really blatantly.
Negligent.
Yes, thank you.
Ed, what's the frequency on that radiological? Is that every 3,
9
5?
years.
Huh?
I think it's 9.
9? Wow.
You won't have to worry about that again, will you?
I'll tell you how that worked out. Back in 2004, they sent a letter out and said that if you did the radiological testing at that time, you would be relieved of doing it again until 2013. If you didn't do it in 2004, in 2005 you had to start doing it every quarter,
All right. Okay.
which costs a fortune.
Yeah.
So I did it
I
in
know.
2004.
There's not
got
very many
off-
places to do it either.
Pardon?
Not very many places to do it.
No, there isn't. Got off the hook until 2013, which then it kicked back in again. So I think, I'm not quite sure now.
Now are we on a 4-year schedule or?
I'm not sure whether we're on a 4, a 3, or 4, or a 7.
All right.
It's a long time, but I'll figure it out.
I know it's confusing.
What I find very confusing is that some testing I know we're required to do, I'm almost positive we're required to do, did not show up on this year's schedule. So as soon as they get over the asbestos thing, I'm going to call about it.
That's the schedule that DEP provides you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the one that last year didn't have the asbestos testing in it at all the locations, but they sent the letter out in September. Now, the thing is, I'm almost sure everybody has to do the THA5s and the THMs every year. And it's not on the schedule for Sunshine Hill this time. Everybody else I do water companies for has it. So I'm going to call them and ask them about that, because if they're failing to notify for some reason, they need to really get a handle on that. And maybe they didn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's fine. I'd rather be sure than sorry.
That's right.
It's so easy to miss something. Believe me.
Sure.
How are we doing, Susan?
Well, the only thing that this is fine. It says that you're in the hole, you have $62,000 less than you had at the beginning of the year, but remember, you paid Detraglia 48-some thousand, and so, and that came out of capital reserve. The only thing that I will talk about with the Morrison escrow, I talked to Dennis today, and Dennis's bills and the engineer had a bill for $789 for the hearing. We did not charge that to the escrow. And Dennis had about $1,139 in his current bill. And you'll see on the check that because I'd already typed the checks up, but I just changed the budget categories. It was Dennis's feeling that escrow accounts are for something else, not for the paying of somebody that, for our bills when we take somebody to court. So, amen.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the financial report, April 1st through April 30th, 2014, subject to audit.
Is there a second?
No second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I will tell you that on the one that goes in the minute book, I have corrected the dates because that was just never changed. And also, you always say subject to audit. The auditors never look at this, but I give them to them anyway. They don't,
Yeah.
Not only because they just don't think they need them, I guess.
EDU audit?
What's that?
Under financial, we got EDU audit?
Oh, you had just said last month that, all right, last month we were directed to send a letter to the co-op, to the 3 businesses of Leonard's Big B Boats, Sitco, Roar Bus, asking if they wanted to sell any of their excess EDUs, and nobody responded.
Surprise.
We have an option.
What's the option?
We can buy them back we can tell them they haven't used them in X amount of years, so we can buy them back.
We don't have that in the rules and regs, do we? Or is it in there? Maybe we can think about exercising that.
Well, that started with Mr. Morrison. Whenever he bought his, he was given 10 years to use them.
Okay.
So these folks were never told that when they bought theirs. Okay.
And do we want to do anything with that, or do we want to just think about it?
Let's
Again.
table it and think about it.
Table it, think about it, okay. Anything else with that, Sue?
No.
How about the executive secretary's report?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Yeah, she probably, unless it was in there,
No.
I didn't see anything.
no.
Okay. Moving on, JOAC meeting, we mentioned before, it's the 12th, 6:30 here. Incoming and outgoing correspondence, take a look at that. Periodicals, likewise. Old business, Morrison headquarters connection.
I'd like to suggest that we ask Dennis to send a letter to DEP informing them of the outcomes of our hearing and ask them for their assistance in getting Mr. Morrison connected to our system. Also like to have Karen send a letter to the Penn Township Board of Supervisors requesting them to follow up on the report of a porta-john being used at the Morrison headquarters facility. See if they have a permit, and if they don't have a permit, get them to cease and desist.
We need a motion for that.
You don't necessarily have to have one, it's up to you.
Okay.
Go for it.
What else did
Yes,
I miss?
Ed.
What did I miss? What
On
did I miss?
2 related questions posed to me by the inspector from DEP
I'm too right.
about the construction at King Court. So I told him Morrison was going to connect.
Do you need it?
Number 2,
Well,
where we stood
yeah.
with the DeKoven property. And I gave him a detailed description of the trouble we went through to get a line up to the back, to schoolhouse.
Yes.
The changes made, and we were at the edge of his property, and he was notified by the township to connect.
Maybe we better have her make a road.
And that he asked me those questions, what was happening with that? And so I told him,
This was DEP asking you that.
yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Okay.
I told, now that might have been that the inspector was just casually asking a question, but I told him we were at the edge of the property and that Mr. Ward had been notified that we're ready for him to connect.
Sir?
I'd like to add another thing to the request for Dennis to send a letter to Mr. Morrison stating that we extend him till June 30th for that connection. And if he's not connected by June 30th, we will proceed with legal matters.
And that's deadline for completion.
Right, now, do I need a motion for that, or can we do that by consensus?
Maybe it's best to have all those things you mentioned in a motion.
That's my motion.
That's your motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So
Okay,
be it.
I have a question. Now, the part about asking about the porta potty is not part of this
No.
motion. So I pull that out. Now, you want her to we're gonna send a letter to the PTS asking if there is a permit for the porta potty up there.
We have reports of a porta potty in use. By Mr. Morrison made that report in the hearing, all right?
Okay,
And asked if there is a if there is a permit issue for him.
okay.
Anything else with Morrison? If not, Stone Mill. Anything on that? They're still treading water, I guess.
I don't think we're gonna hear anything until their time frame's just about ready to run out, and then they'll be coming back in and ask us for a time extension again. That's past history.
Yeah, I can believe that. It's been years. CDBG funding, I think we, huh?
We're gonna have to get
You
together.
and I, and we're gonna
Yeah.
get together with him
Yeah.
and
Get
submit
that,
for a phase,
phase two.
whatever
Whatever
phase,
phase
I don't know,
we
whatever
decide.
phase we.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, Fergus Fire Company plans,
That's that New Blooms,
yeah.
Nothing's
I haven't
happening
heard
down
anything
there.
more about that, other than the fact that they got everything all leveled down and there's stakes out there. Their wet well and pump is staged at the treatment facility. It's up to them to come and get it. I understand that they paid for it, right? Fire
Bob
company did pay
Johnson.
for it, I believe.
I
I
thought
think
Bob
Bob
Johnson
Johnson
gave us
came out
the
and paid for it. But it's staged and it's ready to go.
Okay. Ownership of the grinder pumps.
That's something I had initiated a couple. We can table that if you want.
Okay. That's right, we did talk about that. Sheets is unused EDUs.
That I would
That's up
table
there
at
with
this
the
time.
EDU audit.
Yeah, huh? I'm sorry?
That's up there with the EDU audit.
Yes.
Although
you're
they
right.
weren't sent a letter.
Yeah,
with
they
this
have been
batch.
sent, they were sent a letter a couple months ago, remember?
Right, yeah,
And-
that's not with this batch though.
No, that was done earlier. So really, this one,
Okay,
we could just change the wording and say unused purchase. I'll have her change the wording on that, number 6.
Well, and that, I mean, that's all still up in the air. They're not sure what they're doing there.
Right.
installment payment agreements.
I don't understand what that one is, do you?
That's in here. And I think this is just, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's this.
That shouldn't be that.
Just as an update.
No, because that's just a tap sheet payment thing. This is actually their agreement, so I'm not sure why it's in here or who put it in.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, Edward. Thank
Good
you.
night, Edward. Thank you.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
No idea.
So we have nothing on that.
No.
No, we don't know what's going on there.
Market Street Bridge. Anything new on that except they're tearing the walls down?
Yeah, what you've got there in front of you, that, with that yellow, nope, on top of your notebook that says that we
On
need,
top of your notebook.
Oh, this thing here.
yeah, that's gonna need, that came in today, that they need us to look through that.
Who does? PennDOT?
PennDOT,
I know Mr. Dieter personally.
I don't know, it says something on there about, please review this and get back to us in 10 days. So that
Who
must
wants
be,
to look through this? Mr. Engineer?
Huh. Huh.
This is, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Does anybody?
Is that something that
Yes.
should be referred to?
I
Rand?
guess maybe it should
Email
be
Henny?
referred to,
email
Randy.
Henny and have him look at it,
Well, that's true, we could do that.
you know? I could email him and,
Okay.
cause he do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
That would be cheaper than the engineer.
That's true,
This is pipes and.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff that they're going to be putting on the bridge, I gather, and they just
I
wanna make sure it's
gather.
okay with us.
Pressure I have no, hell, I don't know.
Okay, you wanna keep it in the office?
I'll put it in his mailbox and tell him it's there, and would he please stop in and look at it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the CDBG application, we know about that, don't
Oh,
we?
wait, you're down under new business?
That's under new business.
All right, I wanna go back up to old business.
Okay,
I have a quote here that just came in today from PESI for an operation. I wish he would have stayed here. Pretty much like the same one, the quote that they have, they're quoting for $5,500 a month. Comes out to $66,000
For what?
to run our systems.
Oh, okay.
How much a year? 67,000.
66.
Okay, thank you.
Who is that now?
The PESI, the guys that are running Duncan.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Are we gonna keep them in somewhere, so, I mean, if we're gonna,
That's what I gave it to her for.
okay,
We'll start a folder.
yeah. Do we have anybody else on tap?
There's another one coming in. I can't think of what the guy's name is. He's supposed to send it to me. I just talked to him last week.
Okay.
He and his partner last week.
Then you'll let us know when.
I'll let you know whenever that comes up
Okay,
too.
okay.
And I told them both, told everybody that I've been talking to so far that we are not in a hurry.
Yeah. And Ed's gonna take them around.
Right.
And Ed's gonna take them around.
If he has time.
Well, I
Sometimes he
mean,
doesn't have time.
well, we'll have to,
Yeah. Now you can go. Now you
okay,
can go.
okay, thanks. Again, the CDBG application, which we're gonna work on. Letter to supervisors of authorities approval.
Pretty fair company.
Pretty Fire Company.
Oh,
Pergola?
Pergola. Pergola. That's a,
Oh, that's that walkway
Yeah,
thing that they were
yeah.
talking about?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think we need to give Karen the approval to write that letter and tell her what we wanted to say, or to say it, that we were in agreement with that. Pretty Fair Company and New Blooms has been informed that if anything comes of it, it's their responsibility to restore it once we dig it out. Pretty much that.
Okay. If she can do that, it'd be great. Maintenance agreement for joint use of sewer lateral, is that up?
You have one of these? I think you have one, it's in your packet. All right. This is, we're going to need this, or something similar to this, for 108 and 110 Jefferson Street. We've used them combined before with, I don't remember what the addresses are, but with Mr. Jones and
Mrs. Orders?
Arders, Mrs. Arders.
I could not find that.
Yeah. Well, we had asked you to do it, but in the meantime, Karen went on the internet and she come up with a couple of these and looked at them. If you would, look it over, see what you have to say, and then we can act on it at the JOAC meeting.
Do you think we have did we have a copy of the one that we've used before?
Yes.
Do you have it here?
I have a copy of it. You want me to go get it?
Well, or email it to me.
I got a hard copy.
Well,
We can get Karen to do it.
I told you how to
Yes.
scan.
Like I said, we'll get Karen to do it.
You'd like to take action on that next Tuesday?
Maybe after the JOAC meeting if you got.
No omen by these presents.
Yeah.
Is that illegal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would apply up there, that new one, right?
Yep.
Sam? Okay, backflow preventer testing for Petersburg Commons.
That is, I just got this quote today, and we do that on a yearly basis. It's required, not only from Duncannon, but I think it's required by, I don't know what the state facility is that requires that. I don't want to say it's DEP, but it may be. I don't know. These are the same people that we've been using for years, and they're quoting $175 to do that test.
And what company is that? Susquehanna Sprinkler?
Yes, Susquehanna Sprinkler Incorporated.
That money was budgeted.
Okay.
So do you want to give the go ahead to do that, or do you want to make
That's
a
what
motion?
I'm asking for.
Well, make the motion.
Make a motion, Sam?
Yeah, that's my motion, that we get the backflow preventer tested and forward the information to Duncannon Borough.
Second. Do we have a second?
Oh, I thought you were second.
No, I'm sorry.
All right, I will second that.
Thanks, Cece. Well, second, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. I got one thing I want to add to that new business thing, and it goes back to the survey. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but I will. How confidential are you people going to expect this information to be kept? In other words, when we go into a home and say, can you fill this out for us?
Yeah, you have my opinion, I agree with you.
There is no names involved.
Yes.
No.
I'm wrong.
That doesn't,
I was wrong on that. At the bottom of those forms you have on your desk, signature for the people that you
Correct.
interview and the people and signature from you, but they
Well,
did that the last time.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems the last time I did, with people. The biggest problem I have whenever I knock on the door is the political stuff that you get, Everybody complaining about what the Penn Township Board of Supervisors are doing, and why are you doing this, why are you doing that, But I blamed it all on Cece the last time.
so in other
Now-
words, what if we send out a letter or an envelope with a sealed envelope for them to put the thing into and
You can do that.
and somebody go and collect it then?
You can do that.
I think that's what we should do, because that takes away Elmer Knob going to his neighbors and asking them how much they make. I don't want to do that.
See, that's.
I'm sorry, I don't want to do that.
I don't either. I think that needs to be a confidential thing.
I do
If
too.
they're gonna
Well, you
look-
can hire somebody to do it too.
Well, that's
You can
fine
hire an
too.
outside
Or we
people
can
to do it.
have, maybe Karen would be, or
Karen can.
would go out and,
And
go to
that's-
the place and say, you got this, can I, whatever,
Yeah.
however. But I don't want to go out and do what I did before, because it is
Oh, it is,
very,
it's tough,
very,
I agree with you, it is
very
tough.
difficult.
But the thing is-
And some of my neighbors just refused, said,
Said it's none of their business.
it's not your damn business.
That's right.
Oh, and you
I
get
don't wanna do
and
that.
You get that comment a lot.
I don't wanna do that.
It's none of your business.
Well,
it's up to
then
you.
I suggest that we send the damn thing out, spend the postage, whatever we have to do, spend money on Karen or somebody else to go around and say, we sent this to you, did you send it out? Could I please have it? It's gonna be sealed, it's gonna be sent to CDBG, and nobody at the township supervisors or authority is gonna know, what's in it.
Yeah. And
That's my
the
suggestion.
I agree with you, and the CDBG needs to be defined. Somebody's gonna say, what the hell's CDBG, or, whatever.
I stumble over that all the time. But, you know, they don't know what it is, and they need to know what that organization is and where the money's coming
So
from.
you need a cover
To-
sheet.
Pardon me?
You need a cover sheet explaining all this.
And folks' ideas, I agree with it, that we get something in the mail to all the water users.
Okay,
And that
now,
would include Faust, right?
Well, there's a certain amount of them that goes to Fouts.
yes, because,
They're all predetermined who gets them, right? I mean, so, if we don't have their addresses there, well, yeah, we do.
Karen took it upon herself to make up new forms or copy the old forms and put addresses on that were not
She wanted to make
within a select few. So she has the addresses for everybody on the.
Bingo.
Yeah. So, Brandon.
Well, just put it, like I said, put it, envelope, however you wanna do it. I mean,
Oh, I don't
we're-
care.
I guess
Whichever-
we can't-
Where I'm going with this is we're going to have to do it. It's going to have to be done if we want to get any more funding.
I know,
Now, how
I
we
don't
do it
disagree
is-
with that, but let's,
How we do it
how
is
we do
entirely
it.
up to you.
That's-
You know,
Well,
I
you
don't
got my
care.
suggestions, whatever you decide to do.
If that's what you want to do, fine. Then we'll do it that way. I don't care. But we need to do it.
Who do you-
It's your, let me put it to you this way. It's you guys' water system. It ain't mine. I don't care how you do it, but we need to do it.
I know it needs to be done.
Yeah, I
We
know.
both know, but the confidentiality aspect of this thing, we need to cover that. Because I know there's people on my street, although we speak when they drive up and down on their tractor, that's gonna probably tell me to go pound sand if I ask them to do this. But if they get a letter in there from us, in there, asking them kindly
They
to
might,
do this,
they might likely do it,
put
maybe.
it back in there and send it to
Do it.
Amy. Self-addressed stamped envelope and send it.
Okay, those can go back individually to Amy. They don't have to come here and go in bulk to Amy.
They should go in bulk to Amy. That way we know how many she's having and we can copy them and we can keep them in our files.
yeah, but
if
then
we
that
need them
defeats the
again.
purpose. If they know
Yeah.
that they're coming back up to here, then they're
That's
gonna,
right.
Because I thought they may be more receptive if we provide an envelope, even stamp the darn thing.
oh, yeah, you're gonna have to do that.
You know, so they don't have to pay the postage on it and have that to complain about. But that way they could complete the form, put it in the envelope, send it to Amy. So that
Do
keeps
that,
us
too.
out of the loop.
I would
And then
suggest
she,
you ask.
she could report back to us how many she got.
I would suggest you ask Amy if that's acceptable to her.
Yeah, if they would allow that, I think that would be great. I mean, that would be worth the cost of the postage, because you may get a better response.
Cost you
Can
$1 a
call-
person.
Can you call, or can you have Karen call them and ask them that question?
Yes, but you're gonna give me a backup plan.
Whatever. Well,
All right, now, I will
the
tell you
backup
that
plan would be that she'd have to, somebody'd have to go out and collect the damn things from each individual.
she is willing to do some of it. But she said it's gonna take her about, she figured it would take her over 3 hours to do the hill. She knows that she can't do that plus all the fence. So, you know, she's willing to do some of it, but she, you know.
Are we gonna give them a time frame on that to get?
Well, you're
that
gonna have
back
to.
in-
Yeah, you have to.
Back in the mail, because it's gotta be done ASAP, and we all know that.
But that means that we've gotta get our act together, and you're dealing with a person like me, who isn't around much, and Karen, who isn't around much. There's some health problems going on different ends, and parental problems going on. And I know that's an excuse, so we'll work it out, but.
Maybe we could hire somebody to do it. I guess, maybe. we could do it. I don't know.
We got a temp agency.
We could. Let's do something.
Let's find out before Monday night, so we have an answer Monday night. If that's acceptable to Amy, that the people complete them individually, send them in on their
She can
own.
report to us how many she's got.
Cause then, yeah, we just need to come up, she hand addressed all of the postcards for Fouts, because all we have are address, you know.
And
We
you've
don't
got a
know their
good
names.
suggestion, we'll just put a stamp
And they're
on the
not in
damn
any
thing
kind of
and
database,
all they gotta
so-
do is
That's a
fill it
thought
out, put it
too.
in that.
You know, they didn't get the quick reach phone calls either then, because they're not in our system, are they?
No, they didn't know, and there's no reason for them to be in our system.
That's what I mean.
So-
Put a little
At
blurb
this
in there, like
point-
you say, this is gonna go to, DCD directly, and, blah,
No,
blah,
it's
blah,
going-
whatever
yeah.
we wanna say.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't mean to get a more favorable result, I think I would really sugarcoat that letter, the cover letter that goes out, stressing the importance
Yeah.
of why they complete this
Yeah.
survey, you know,
Could affect how much you pay for your water.
well, and, you know, kind of dramatize it a little bit with, you know, how bad the water system is, and, you know, the poor quality, and, I mean, really play that up, and then, you know, really hit them hard with, this is why it's important that you fill out this survey, because by doing so, that will mean reduced, you know, if we get full cooperation, could mean reduced water rates
Is
and
this
better service.
same
kind of
letter to
thing.
both folks and ours? Couldn't send the same letter because it's
No, because
gonna have to
they
be two
haven't
separate
been
letters.
customers, yeah, they haven't been customers of ours yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Fouts is gonna be the benefit to Fouts is gonna be for fire prevention, preventive. Their rental insurance
Mm-hmm.
premium would be lowered by the existence of fire protection.
Well, they got an arsenic problem they gotta solve too.
That's not our business, that's hers.
Well, I know.
I don't wanna step on her toes.
Yeah, okay. I know.
The
where
fire
you're going.
prevention can also be included in our,
Sunshine Hill.
Sunshine
yeah.
Hills as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Any selling point we can throw in that letter, I think all the better.
Good. Come up with a punch list if you think of it. No, as you're thinking of things, just,
Okay.
you know,
Write the letter.
Email
send
it.
up to me.
email it.
All right. Guess we're all on the same page with that then, right?
One other thing, and under new business, yeah, we are under the, Mr. Chisholm and I have been batting this around for quite a while. The visitors, a lot of folks are listed down below, and they come in and they say, put me on the visitors list, and we end up taking them ahead of everybody else, and we end up talking maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and prolonging our meeting. Mr. Chisholm's, they're planning commission, am I correct? His standard operating procedure is if you are on the agenda, we'll take you when your agenda item comes up. That means the individual that comes in cannot be put on first if he's not.
Mhm.
All right.
That's what the supervisors do too.
Mm-hmm. So we get down to you, and if it's down here, now you sat here for 45 minutes to an hour waiting for your time to come up. You're going to be tired. All right? And you're not going to want to sit here and talk like Mr. Ward just did. You're going to want to get out of here. All right? I would like to see us initiate something similar to that. That's something to mull on.
There's another thing too, along that same line. I had the occasion a year or so ago to go before the Marysville Council, or Marysville Borough Council. And my prepared speech, if you will, probably was 15 minutes. When I got there, on their agenda, I had 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right there behind you, planning commission, visitors, 5 minutes.
That would be something else I think we need
Do
to
it.
do, because
We can do that.
that would cut down a lot of the nonsense that
Unnecessary.
goes on. Yeah.
You
So,
want to mull that over? You want to do it now, or do you want to mull it over and we'll talk about it after the JLAC?
why don't we
meeting?
talk about it when Henry's here, we get a full board.
Yeah, I think that would
and,
be good.
do it at the JOAC.
Don't want to prolong that either, but I think that's something we need to do.
But I especially like that. And then that keeps it uniform too. Doesn't matter which board you go before in this township, you're treated the same way, you're on the agenda the same way. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Third, oh, okay. We're done.
We're done. Oh, that's good, before 9 o'clock.
Good job.
You're doing good, buddy.
Yeah, he's a constable.
Oh, is he? Yeah,
Cumberland County?
all over the place. He works here. He works up, I'm surprised you didn't see him up there. He works all over the place.
All right, folks. Probably Monday night, we wanna talk about it, when we can get together, because it's Thursday.
I had a
Thursday
thought.
night.
I was gonna keep that to
What night,
myself.
what day is this? It's Wednesday.
Exactly, we're not
Let's talk
gonna
about
because they
Thursday
can't,
night.
because they can't
Or
come up
Monday
with a
night.
couple
Monday
of
night,
bucks. The same, and then at the same time, he said, Mike, we sometimes we discuss and pull this up there, all, you know.
I don't have a problem helping you out. I don't wanna get into those
Well-
lengthy things like we were into before.